It's the morning of day 2, and this is camp. Doesn't look like much, but it served its purpose last night. Kept me out of the wind. Actually, it wasn't cold. Feet were warm, and so it was comfortable inside. Cozy, but comfortable. You can see I was able to close both ends of it, tie off the ends so I could keep the wind out. Made a nice bed of pine boughs on the bottom to keep me off the snow. It was comfortable. Now this morning, the task is to get a fire going and melt some snow, boil water, and make breakfast. Then I'll break camp and head out. I have a lot of uphill climbing to do today, and the snow is pretty soft, so I want to get out and start as early as I can while the snow is still as frozen as possible. Once the sun comes out, it's going to get a little bit too soft. How cold did it get last night? I'm not sure. I'm guessing probably in the mid-20s, maybe low 20s. I'll check my thermometer here in a minute. Now, collect wood, start a fire. So I've been out gathering some wood. I had to go a little ways to find some aspen. Aspen is one of my preferred trees for basic tinder. Oh, now I'm using some of the aspen bark, the dried aspen bark, as a platform for my fire, and also as a seat to keep myself a little bit drier. I'm going to shred this bark as fine as you can and mix the pine gum in with it as thoroughly as possible, and leave plenty of little fine fiber to catch the spark. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Okay, now I got the fire going. Time to put some snow on to melt. I really don't like the taste of smoky water, and I always get smoky tasting water whenever I boil over an open fire without a lid, so I be sure to put a lid on. It takes quite a while to melt snow. Once you get a little bit of water in there, then it starts to melt faster, but the initial one is a little bit slow. While I'm waiting for the snow to melt, I might as well fix breakfast. So this morning it looks like a combination of maybe oatmeal and cream of wheat with a little bit of granola mixed in with it. You see that I brought a jet boil stove, and that's just for convenience, really. Quick cooking, reliable cooking. something warm, even if I can't get a fire started. But for the big work of melting snow, I need a campfire for that. Alright, I think my snow is melted, and I'm going to put it into my water containers, my canteens. So this was 3 pots full of snow is all, so it melted down pretty well. I'll show you what the water looks like from melted snow. And quite a few pine needles. Quite a bit of junk. Alright, there's my bed with the tarp removed. Nice bed of pine boughs with a tarp underneath it and air mattress. I didn't bring my warmest sleeping bag. I have a 40 below zero sleeping bag. This one's rated at about, I think, 5 degrees, so but it was good enough. Here's camp. Getting ready to pack up and move out now. Fire's about out. Next time I turn this camera on, I'll be on the trail. Well, I've been on the trail now for about a half an hour, and I'm just getting out of the heavy timber now. So again, I'm going with a pack on my back and the sled is empty. It's been uphill, and the easiest way to do that, at least for me, is with the weight on my back instead of trying to pull it. But here's the view now. You can see it's becoming more open. It's quite a steep slope. I'm purposely avoiding side hilling here just because of the risk of avalanche. If I stay on the ridge and I stay on the windward side of the cornice, I think I'm some good. So once I get up about into there, I should be getting pretty close to the top. It's windier on the ridge, could get out of the wind if I hung to the leeward side on the side hill, but again, avalanche risk is not something I'm willing to take, especially when I'm by myself. I'm working my way down this open ridge now. I'm probably, I think I'm about halfway to my camp tonight. Well, day 2 is a much nicer day than yesterday. Beautiful view. A little breeze, but not too windy. Partly cloudy, not too cold. And what a gorgeous view. I'm looking back at the ridge that I just came down, and then swinging over to the west, looking at some of that rugged country that I showed you yesterday, and then swinging around off to the south, showing you some of that country, and then right down there in this saddle is where I plan to camp tonight. For tonight's shelter, I decided to make an A-frame snow trench shelter, and I think it actually, at least my experience in the past, is that it takes less time to make than my shelter did last night. Depends on how big you want to make it. I'm going to make it just kind of a medium size this time, so I'll get to it. Alright, there it is. Now it's just a matter of patching up some gaps and throwing some loose snow over the top, and we're good. And there it is, the finished A-frame snow trench. Got it all patched up, covered with some fresh snow, loose snow, and now next task is to collect some pine boughs to put on the bottom of it to give me some insulation to sleep on tonight. Alright, now I'm sitting on the stairs looking into the snow trench. And there we go. Well, I'm getting ready to hole up in my snow shelter. It's certainly turned off to be a worse weather day than it was this morning. It's completely overcast, pretty strong winds, cold. I'm really glad I've got this snow shelter tonight. It's so much warmer than the tarp that I used last night, and so much roomier. So I'm looking forward to it. Alright, there's my door. Got the sled in there. That'll keep it toasty warm. So here's a look inside the shelter. I've got the sled over the door, and there's my steps, my cooking benches. I've got the shovel inside here in case I have to dig myself out, which is not very likely. And a good layer of pine boughs. That's my sleeping bag right there. And I have my backpack in here. The full backpack and all my gear is inside here. And I think I could well, I am going to be able to sleep with all my gear inside here and still have plenty of room. So I'm cooking dinner on my jet boil, and I have it set on the one of the stairs leading down into my shelter. So it's out of the wind, but I have the door open, so there's plenty of ventilation. Tonight I'm having ramen noodles with beef jerky diced up in it. Very good.